On to West Asia now, where Prime Minister Netanyahu's grip on power is still being tested. The Israeli Prime Minister is stumbling from one problem to the next. Last night, he diffused a crisis with his defense minister. But today, Netanyahu was confronted with a new problem. His cabinet seems to have rebelled against him. At least 7 ministers took to the streets. They led a mass rally. Thousands were part of this march, and cabinet ministers joined in. Do you know where the protest was held? In the West Bank. The crowd marched in the northern West Bank. It's a restive area. It has seen multiple incidents of violence in the recent past. The rally went up to a place called Eviatar. This is an unauthorized settlement outpost. It was evacuated by the previous Israeli government in 2021, so this is a really sensitive zone. What were the Israeli leaders doing here with their supporters? Apparently projecting strength.
Those who are strong in the face of terror in Eviatar will be strong in the face of terror in Tel Aviv. This is our statement here. We must be strong in the face of terror, both in Eviatar and in Tel Aviv.
We call it the big Eviatar March in order to impose pressures on the government to fulfill its obligation to build this settlement. It has become a symbol for many more Eviatarim to follow.
That's why the ministers took to the streets, and they're not the only ones who did it. At least 20 members of the Knesset took part in this march. Knesset is the Israeli parliament. These leaders went to back Israel's claim on the West Bank. It's an old dispute, among the oldest in the world, you could say. This is the West Bank. It's a chunk of land east of Israel. As of 2018, it was home to nearly 3 million Palestinians. But Palestinians do not control this land. Israel does. Since 1967, Israel has been controlling the West Bank since 1967. This was after the Six-Day War, a war in which Egypt, Syria and Jordan were also involved. Quite a miraculous win for Israel then. It routed all these Arab powers. They're all neighbors of Israel. It defeated all of them and took control of the West Bank. Then Israel allowed Jewish settlers to move in. So the region has always been a bit tense, but of late it's gone from bad to worse because Israel is telling Palestinians to move out. There have been reports of forced evictions. Palestinians have resisted. They want a separate state. They say the West Bank, Gaza and East Jerusalem should be combined to form the state of Palestine. Israel does not agree. There is tension and there's fighting. Israel has been conducting military raids in the West Bank. In the last 3 months, more than 90 Palestinians have died. Israel has suffered casualties too. Then last week, there were clashes in Jerusalem at the Al-Aqsa Mosque. One thing led to the other, and there were rocket attacks on Israel. Prime Minister Netanyahu does not want to be seen on the back foot. He's a hardliner, and he's had a difficult start to the year. He faced large-scale protests. He wanted to introduce judicial reforms. He basically wanted more power over the courts. The people of Israel protested, and how? Almost 500,000 were out on the streets in a country of 9 million. Israel's defense minister opposed the reform. Netanyahu fired him. Then he faced an even stronger backlash. So now he's reinstated the minister, ostensibly to not rock the boat when Israeli security is being challenged.
Regarding the defense minister, Gallant, even in the last few days, we were working together and standing together around the clock on all fronts in the face of the security challenges. There were differences between us. I've decided to put our differences behind us. Gallant stays in his position. We will continue working together for the security of the Israeli nation. During the Passover festival, I am telling you, Israeli citizens, together we'll stand and together we'll succeed.
So Netanyahu seems to have dodged a bullet. The move to reinstate the defense minister is a face saver. The prime minister's popularity has tanked after the fiasco. He's now fighting to hold on to his prime ministership. You see, Netanyahu rose back to power with support from Israel's extreme right leaders. In fact, experts have called this coalition Israel's most far-right, religiously conservative government in history. Now, those same hardliners were on the streets today in the West Bank, and they're demanding more anti-Palestinian policies. Will Prime Minister Netanyahu give in? His decision could have wide-ranging repercussions. Will he risk a conflict just to stay on in power? He does not have easy choices. Israel is dangerously close to another war.